is really bringing public opinion on side. And we know that the Democrats are pretty weak in the face of that public opinion. And the only thing that they can fight this with is with real commitment to green policies. And, don't hold your breath.
What does this offshore drilling, lifting the ban, how would you relate this to what's happening in Iraq right now and what's happening at the oil ministry and the pushing through the permanent occupation that the Bush administration is pushing hard for?
Well, I think we're seeing the Bush administration in its final months just handing out a series of gifts to the oil and gas industry, both at home, pushing for opening up the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, and then in Iraq, the biggest prize of all, which is allowing foreign multinationals to gain control over Iraq's oil fields. And we've seen a two-stage process now, and it isn't over yet, where first there was the short-term service agreements, no-bid contracts that were announced. They haven't been signed yet, but they're going to the big oil companies that were kicked out of Iraq in the 70s. They're coming back.
Explain how that works, these no-bid contracts, how it is, who's signing these contracts.
Okay, well, at the moment, Iraq does not have an oil law. So Iraq can't sign long-term exploration agreements, although they are doing it in Iraqi Kurdistan, and we've heard about this with Hunt Oil. But those are illegal contracts. They're very precarious. There could be future expropriations. It's really risky to go that route because there isn't a law. And we know it's been a major push of this administration to get the Iraqi parliament to accept a U.S.-backed oil law. This has been sold as a symbol of Iraqi unity. It's not the way it's seen in Iraq. In Iraq, the reason why it has been years in resisting this oil law is because nationalizing the oil in Iraq was the centerpiece of the anti-colonial struggle, as it was in neighboring nations and throughout the Arab world. And it is not just a pro-Saddam idea. It is not just a Ba'athist idea. It's the core of Arab nationalism. And that victory is being protected by many political forces in Iraq, and most notably by the oil workers' unions in Iraq, who said, we don't need these foreign multinationals to get the oil out of the ground. We can do it ourselves. We can bring in technical support without giving away management control, without giving away ownership control. And I mean, let's stress here that unlike the oil offshore, unlike the shale, this is very difficult oil to extract. It's extremely, it requires a huge amount of technology. It requires a huge amount of investment, and that's part of the problem with what the Bush administration is selling. That the oil companies need the price of oil to stay high in order for it to be economically viable to do these, to get oil out of solid rock, for instance, which is very hard, very expensive. Offshore oil drilling, also very, very expensive. You have to build the rigs and so on. Iraq, no. Iraq, stick a straw in the ground and suck. I mean, this is incredibly accessible oil. And Iraqis actually know how to extract this oil themselves. So this idea that they need these foreign multinationals to come in is yet another myth. And not only have companies like BP and Texaco been offered these no-bid contracts, but what's strange about it is that they're service contracts, and these are not oil service companies. So what's significant about these contracts is that they appear to be giving these oil companies the right of first refusal on future more significant contracts. So 1 week after these smaller service agreements were announced, the Iraqi oil ministry announced that they also will be handing out longer-term management agreements, which will give oil companies the ability to manage existing fields in Iraq and hold on to 75% of the worth of those contracts and leave only 25% for Iraqis, which is absolutely unheard of in the region, where 51% for the country is the baseline for new exploration, for new fields. These are existing fields. They're already working. The technology is already there. And these foreign companies are going to be taking 75% of the worth of those existing fields in Iraq. So it's daylight robbery. It's armed robbery, actually, Amy.
We're talking to Naomi Klein. Her book is just out in paperback, The Shock Doctrine, The Rise of Disaster Capitalism. We'll keep talking about oil. She's a Canadian journalist, so we're going to find out about, well, the largest supplier of oil to the United States. No, it's not Saudi Arabia. It is Canada. And, well, Naomi's just back from China, so we also want to find out what she's been investigating there, what she says is the building of police state with the help of U.S. military contractors, and we'll find out why she's suing the U.S. government. Stay with us. Videotech by Radiohead. Our guest for the hour is Naomi Klein, the award-winning journalist and best-selling author. Her book, The Shock Doctrine, The Rise of Disaster Capitalism, is just out in paperback. It's being translated now